Hey, church. Pastor Scott here and Pastor Tyson, and we're coming to you today to let you know about this upcoming Sunday, where we're going to take some time and devote an entire Sunday's message to speak to the issue of racism. And you know exactly why. Don't need to explain that part. This is not a reactionary thing. This has been on our hearts for a long time to speak directly to, and this is the perfect time to do so. We do so not out of anger towards anyone, but we do so out of love for the African American community and our brothers and sisters in Christ who are black and who are brown. And we think it's time to speak to this issue. I wanted to read a passage. One of the passages I'm going to be preaching on Sunday. It's 1 Corinthians 12, where Brother Paul says this, "But God has so composed the body, giving greater honor to the part that lacked it." Greater honor to the part that was lacking. That there may be no division in the body, but the members may have the same care for one another. That they may have the exact same care for one another. If one member suffers, he says, all suffer together. If one member is honored, then all rejoice together. Friends, New Valley, this is no surprise to anyone, is a predominantly white church. That's not our desire. That is just a reality. And as such, we need to be mindful of the fact that our brothers and sisters in Christ who are black, who are brown, who are African American, there is suffering going on. And we're going to talk about that. And a lot of times, I think, when people think of racism, we give ourselves a pass because we think of it only in the most heinous terms, the most hateful spirit. And you say, well, I'm not like that, so you give yourself a pass. But this Sunday, we're going to talk about how it goes deeper than that. And really, if we look into our hearts, we see that we're all complicit in many ways, and talk about the fact of there's some ignorance, and that's not saying we're stupid, but we've lacked understanding and a listening ear, some insensitivity perhaps as well, and some indifference if we're honest. And so, Pastor Tyson, how have you been processing this? What have you been thinking?
Yeah, thank you for asking. Some of you know me, and others of you don't. My father's African American, and my mother is white. So I have an interesting perspective in all of this, I believe. My dad was the son of a sharecropper. My grandfather was a sharecropper. And if you're not familiar with sharecropping, it was often an unjust system in which people would work the fields of others and be paid a percentage at the end. And my family was often cheated through this system. So I have this experience of coming from a family that has just been a tick away from slavery. And before then, they even were in slavery. But yet, those who see me on the streets today see often a white person. Sometimes people think I'm Hispanic. I'll hear Spanish spoken to me, and even Arabic one time. But for the most part, I experience white privilege. So this has formed in me a unique perspective, and this is what it is. I've learned to listen. Because of my heritage, I've learned that there's a perspective out there that really matters, and I've tuned my ear to hear black voices. So although I don't experience this, I'm very interested in hearing what is happening. How are you experiencing this? And I believe one of the biblical ethics that we have is to hear one another. Yes. And even further, it's hospitality. And Henry Nouwen, a Christian author and theologian, speaks about the importance of hospitality in transforming hostility into hospitality. And he tells the story of a white professor going to speak and learn from a Japanese master. And upon meeting him, the Japanese master begins to fill his teacup up. And he fills and fills until the point it's overflowing. And the professor says, "Stop, stop. It's overflowing. It can't take any more." And the Japanese master says to him, "That's right. When we come to the table so full of our own ideas and perspectives, how can we be prepared to learn and hear from someone else?" And I think that's just what we're called to as believers, to make room in order to hear. And what better example do we have than in the gospel? Jesus comes to earth. He could have made decisions up from high in the heavens, but he decided to enter into the tension and to hear and to experience, and from there to speak a word.
Yeah, that's good.
But it's really hard to do. I know that even in conflicts with my wife, it's hard when she's looking at me with maybe tears in her eyes or hurt or frustration because I did something wrong. I want to instinctively defend myself, to justify myself. So this is really difficult. But I believe that as followers of Christ, we have what it takes to stand and to hear, even when difficult words, thoughts, or even accusations are coming our way.
Yeah.
When we stand on legs of justification, I'm right in God's sight based on Christ's righteousness, we're able to be quiet and be still, to make room for others and listen. But when we're thinking in terms of, no, I have never done anything wrong, when we're justifying ourselves based on self-righteousness, I've never done anything wrong, and there's no possibility, then we're standing in a faulty place. But my call, obviously, I'm one voice. I'm not the representative for all black people or for all mixed people or for all white people. But what I've learned from my situation is this. In the gospel, we have the ability to stop, to listen, and begin to enter in to the experience of someone else.
Amen. That's dead on. This is the type of thing we're going to be talking about on Sunday. And church, I'm asking you to do something I don't think I've ever asked you to do before, which is this. If New Valley is your church, whether you're a member, a regular attender, or just started visiting, if you consider us as your pastors, then I'm asking you to join us for church online this next week. It'll be online at 9 a.m., and then you can watch it anytime after that. It's on YouTube at any time. So on our YouTube channel, New Valley Church, go there, please. I'm asking you, if this is your church, this is so important. We want you to be a part of this experience and hear what the gospel has to say about race. And one of the key things is exactly what Tyson is talking about, is that we would lay down our defensiveness and that we begin to listen to those who are suffering. We would never do this to a friend that was dying of cancer and begin to lecture them and tell them what they did wrong in life. You'd listen. And this is a moment for the church, especially those of us who are in predominantly white majority culture, for us to listen and speak a little less. And so, church, we love you. We have a profound love for the African American community and for our brothers and sisters in Christ who are African American, who are black, who are brown, Latino, who are different than us. And we want to be the kind of church that cares, that listens, and gives up our ignorance, our insensitivity, and the apathy. We want to lean in, and we want to hear Jesus in this. We want to walk with God in Christ in this. And so that's our desire and our call. Join us this Sunday, we ask, and we will see you soon. God bless you.
Bless you.